Hi everybody, Mike from the Digital Media Program here today to show you how to edit your artboards inside of Adobe Illustrator, and we're also going to look at how to set up tracing layers. All right, I've got Adobe Illustrator CC 2020 open. I'm going to go ahead and create a new document by going to File New. You can also hit the hotkey of Control N or Command N on the Mac. My options may look slightly different from yours. And what I want you to do is go ahead, and it's probably defaulted to points or picas. So let's go ahead and change our unit of increment from picas to inches. I don't think that it's really necessary for us to work in points and picas. We're also going to want to go ahead and set the width and height of our document to 5 inches by 5 inches. Now, at this time, we could set the number of artboards right now, and we would have all of our artboards created, but I would like to show you guys how to edit artboards later on. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this at 1 artboard, although keep in mind that we could add more artboards if we wished. The rest of the settings at default are okay, with the exception of we need to change the file name. And we could change the file name when we save the document, but let's go ahead and change it now. GIGM 1350, last name, first name. My name is Michael Dawson. Mike, project 1. And this is part 1. Once you have all that entered, I'm going to go ahead and click create. So we have our new document. I'm going to go ahead and just take the rectangle tool and draw a quick rectangle like this, just so that we have some kind of artwork to work with. Doesn't really matter, any illustration would be fine. I'll go ahead and fill it with magenta or red or something. Now, and I'll go ahead and go back to my V tool. Now we have our artboard and the pasteboard. The pasteboard is everything that is not on an artboard. And the pasteboard allows us to have objects. I'm going to hold down my spacebar key to kind of temporarily bring up my hand tool that allows me to kind of click and drag around the document like so. And I'm going to go ahead and move that off the object. So now this object is off the artboard. If I were to print or export this document, that would not show up. So it allows me to kind of have assets and things that I'm working on off to the side. And then as I'm ready, I can bring them in to the actual document. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that's on my actual document. I'm also going to hold down the Alt key and then use my mouse wheel to zoom out just a little bit. You can also use the Control, or on the Mac it'd be Command minus and plus to zoom in and out if you wish. But those are kind of useful ways to zoom in and out. I also like holding down the space bar once again to bring up that hand tool. So keep in mind I'll be using that. All right, the next thing we're going to need is our control bar. So I'm going to go up to Window and Control, and that brings up our control bar. This is pretty useful. It will always kind of change based on the tool I have selected and the object that I have selected. Always gives us a lot of useful information. I recommend keeping it up. In our case, I'm going to select the artboard tool, which is this tool that looks like kind of has like a little plus at the top left of it and sort of looks like a page. Inside of here, we have several options, including I can create new artboards, which we'll create some new ones in a second. I can name these artboards if I so choose, although there's another place we can edit those. I can also have this option to move or copy the artwork as I move the artboard around. So if I move this artboard to the left or right here, the artwork will move with it. If I uncheck this and I move the artboard, notice that the artwork will stay in place. I'll press Control Z, or you can press Command Z on a Mac to undo that. Also, if I make a copy, once this is reselected, if I make a copy of this, and I'll hold down the Alt key, and click and drag this, hold down the Alt or Option on Mac, will create a copy of the artwork here. If that option is deselected, the artwork won't move with that artboard. I'm going to press Control Z, or again, Command Z on the Mac to undo that. Also have some artboard options in here. If for any reason you have created a document using for example, there are some presets where you could create video. Some of these other options might be useful to either check or turn off, but they will only come up automatically if you use those kinds of presets. So hopefully you used a print preset. Usually is a good place to start with this stuff. I can also manipulate some of these other options, but I don't think that that's going to be useful at this time. Most of these options, again, are right up here in the control bar. So I'm going to, now looking at my project brief for part 1, project 1, as of the time of recording of this video, it specifies that we need 9 artboards at 6 by 6 inches. Now, we created our artboard at 5 by 5 inches. So we're going to need to go up here at the top of our control bar and change the width and height. I'm going to go ahead and type 6 space and then IN. And then I'm going to press the Tab key to press 6 space IN. If for any reason you accidentally created your document in another increment, typing IN is a good best practice because it will automatically convert those increments into the correct value. And I'm going to go ahead and tab again to kind of commit that change. And now we have a single artboard at 6 by 6 inches. The next thing that we need to do is it'd be nice to create the 9 more artboards. Now I'm going to go ahead and up here at the new artboard inside of my control panel, I'm going to click this 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That'll give me 9 artboards or 10 artboards. Maybe I might have created an extra one. Oh, because we created that artboard earlier. All right, so I have my 9 artboards. Never mind the name artboard 10, that is incorrect. Now they're all in a row here, and I just, by the way, I use my Alt and mouse wheel to zoom out a little bit, and my spacebar key once again to bring up that hand tool. Now I might notice that I need to rearrange these artboards. I could click rearrange all, but we're going to go ahead and look at a different way of manipulating artboards, and that is with the artboard window. If I go up to window and select artboards, we can see here I have a list full of, I have the window where I have a list full of all my artboards. I could rename them in this window. I can add and delete just as I could with the control bar. And I also have a rearrange artboards option. Same option, just in 2 different places. So just keep in mind that you can work in either way. You can also, some of these options will also come up in the properties panel as well. So just a third way. More often than not, Adobe has 2 or 3 different ways of doing the same thing. So take your pick. All right, so I'm going to rearrange these artboards, and your defaults might be different from mine. We're going to want to set our columns to 3 because we'd like to have a nice 3 by 3 grid, and we can set our spacing. We can always change this later on, but I'm going to go ahead and set the spacing to 0.75 inches. You go ahead and change that value to something else if you like, if you need a little bit more room between your artboards. Let's go and leave it at that for now. And we're going to want to, we don't really have any artwork on our artboard, so we're going to just leave that checked. All right, and there we go. We have our 9 artboards set at 6 by 6 inches, and we're ready to get started on part 1 of project 1.